projection.
Welcome to Taking on Sports, your favorite sports podcast here on the Alabama Take Podcast Network. I am TD. That is Greg. Greg, how you doing?
I am good. How are you today, sir?
I'm pretty good. Let's get into it, folks. As always, we'll start with college football and the home team, the Alabama Crimson Tide. Big win in Arkansas on the road yesterday. Obviously, the big story coming out is Bryce Young's shoulder. Coach Saban said afterwards it's not too big of a deal, may even be back next week for A&M. After he went down, the Tide had a really worrisome third quarter, and then in the fourth quarter, Jahmyr Gibbs put the team on his back and ran for about 1,000 yards. Greg, what do you make of the game?
Well, scary moment there with Bryce. I guess it could be worse than what could have been worse than what we think now. Because right when it happened, like Gary was even saying, "Oh, I had something similar happen to me, and it was a torn rotator cuff." And I was like, "Oh man, what?" But better than what it could be. Milrose stepped in, did what he needed to do. Got a little hectic there in the third quarter, as we all know. But we calmed down, got it together, and did what we had to do to get out of Fayetteville. Ended up a pretty, impressive win to go to Fayetteville with your backup quarterback, and for the whole second half there, and to win by 20. I mean, you can't ask for too much more than that, despite the hectic third quarter.
Yeah, absolutely. Like you said, it was worrisome. Hectic third quarter, Arkansas shut down the defense, maybe some, questionable Bill O'Brien play calling. It seemed like they kind of went away with what was working. Then they went back, and like I said, Jahmyr Gibbs he's obviously the best playmaker on the offense.
That man is human highlight reel when he gets going.
Oh, he is. I didn't see any of them when he was at Georgia Tech, and, when he made the announcement he was transferring to Alabama, a lot of writers are like, "Oh, that's a big get."
Yeah,
I was like, "Well, we'll see." And yeah, everyone's been right. He is outstanding.
He is. It's amazing.
And if Alabama can run the ball like that,
man,
that's just a big plus for them.
Exactly. It's amazing. That with how bad Georgia Tech's been, that they had a talent like that even on the team, and that he wasn't, I guess, more highly recruited, and the fact that he ended up at Georgia Tech is kind of surprising. He's either come a long way or he was very looked at coming out of high school. But
yeah, it's amazing that he didn't end up on a program like Alabama out of high school.
Just to begin with. But
yeah, well, they got the game at home, the big revenge game against A&M next week. They just got routed by Mississippi State. Man, Jimbo's making a lot of money to put out a very mediocre at best product.
Yeah, but it's kind of weird though, because it's kind of almost in that same situation as last year as far as them coming into the game. What did they lost like 2 or 3? They lost to Arkansas. They lost somebody else. I forget. It was Arkansas, and but they lost like 2 coming in. And, they lost the App State game. They got blown out yesterday. Probably should have lost to Arkansas. So coming into that same situation kind of last year when we took that loss in College Station, kind of strange in those circumstances. But yeah, I think. It's the revenge game. We know Saban in revenge games. That a lot of the players are still there, willing them. They're ready to go. So, I think we'll be all right Saturday.
Yeah, Alabama going in as the new number 1 team in the AP poll.
Yes, sir.
Surpassing Georgia, who struggled again, and this time had to come back from 16-3 down
16-3
to win on the road in Columbia, Missouri. Hey, sometimes you got to struggle win, but that's what do we got to take from this?
I don't know. Last week was one thing. The people are like, "Oh, why was it so close?" But this week, this was this was a Mizzou team coming off a loss to Auburn, and Georgia 22-point favorite, and even in Columbia, I mean, I was shocked it was such a struggle. I'm not sure. I mean, I know that you always say sometimes the struggle win. We know sometimes winning on the road in the SEC is a tough thing to do, but I don't know, Mizzou. That I was kind of shocked, honestly.
Yeah, I was shocked. I had to actually worked an event and
Yeah,
checked that score in the middle of it, and I was like, wait a minute now, like I believe it was 22-19 or
yeah,
something. They were down 3
right.
when we looked, and a few of us snuck into the back room to put it on a phone and watch it.
Yeah,
We couldn't believe we saw that score. But yeah, we'll see. Georgia's got Auburn next week at home, then Vanderbilt at home, and then a bye before the cocktail party against Florida before a tough November. So maybe they can use those games to get things right because
right.
they got to work on some stuff.
Yeah, definitely not as invincible maybe as what we thought at first. They routed Oregon, they routed South Carolina. I mean, they looked like, oh, Georgia's just on a different level than everybody. And I don't know, the last 2 weeks maybe tell a little different story that they are human after all.
Yeah, we'll see. We'll see what the rest of
Yeah,
October holds for
exactly.
them. We'll move to, let's see. Ole Miss had a big win
Big
over
one.
Kentucky in a big ranked matchup there in Oxford, and they used their defense to get the win. Kentucky some sloppy play,
Man,
a fumble late. Oh, the
couple of
Rebels take
fumbles
it.
late.
Yeah, it was very very sloppy early game. This is the Rebels' best start since 2014.
Yeah.
So Lane Kiffin got them looking good, and that's something big to show you that you can win a low scoring game like that.
Yeah, definitely. This usually you think Ole Miss, you think they're gonna win a game like that, it's gonna be a high scoring game. Really different than what you're accustomed to seeing. With Ole Miss, it's a much more physical game. Yeah, like you said, very sloppy, but I mean they did what they had to do. They gave up some plays, but they didn't break it all. They contained Will Levis very well. Forced him into that fumble at the end, and they really did what they had to do to come out on top. I mean, it was a interesting matchup going in, and it lived up as far as interesting throughout. Couldn't definitely for an 11 a.m. It doesn't get much better than that.
For sure, yeah, it's a good way to start the football
For
Saturday.
sure.
Last piece of business, the nightcap in the SEC.
Oh
Auburn blew
man.
a 17-0 lead at home to LSU. I believe 4 turnovers. A fumble
Yeah.
for a touchdown to get
That
LSU off the
was
board, and then a big interception
yeah.
late.
That
It was just kind of more of the same from Auburn, just kind of sloppy football, not taking care of it. The quarterback had over 300 yards passing, so the
yeah.
offense looked good at times. But couldn't close the game out. And,
Yeah. Yeah. They're
it,
definitely more of the same. I mean. I of course watched the end of the Bama Arkansas game, and then I was like, saw the thing. I was like, well, let me flip over to the ESPN real quick, and I was like, I think it was 17-3 when I first turned it on. I was like, what? And yeah, but they definitely imploded there in the second half. Didn't score anything. I don't know. Both teams look terrible though. Terrible. Like there's so many mistakes, and like it's like nobody wanted to win at all last night, which is I guess it has been that way a couple of times recently in that matchup, but you don't. No one really wants to win, but I don't know. That was both teams look pretty bad there, but definitely a tough. As hot as that seat is there from Ryan Harson, I would have. I know he would have loved to have gotten that win to get a little heat off his plate there, but yeah, definitely stays up there. Up 17 at home and to lose and not even a field goal in the second half. Tough way to lose to a rival in a must-win situation.
like you said, ugly games recently in that rivalry. Used to be, it's definitely not the same as the 2000s, and that was a
No, that
premier
was like a
SEC matchup.
premier.
Oh yeah, that was must see viewing every time they played.
Yeah.
And yeah, like you said, Harsin did himself no favors, and in my mind, Brian Kelly has done nothing to impress me yet in his tenure at
No,
LSU. Because
you might.
I believe they were favored by 8 or so, at least a
Yeah, they were
touchdown.
definitely
So that was a
8 and going into 8 on the road. I mean, anytime it's troublesome for Auburn. Anytime that they're just with how hard it is, usually with the atmosphere and Jordan Hare to go in and you're 8-point favorite, just kind of showed you where that program is right now.
yeah.
But
Well, let's move to the Big 12.
yes,
A couple of things of note. The biggest one, of course, TCU just curb stomped Oklahoma.
wow,
I mean, they laid it on the Sooners.
just
Just
start to
ooh,
finish, just pounded them.
big, big. But yeah, it was never close. It was never in doubt. Just an ugly, ugly game for Oklahoma.
Yeah,
TCU
yeah,
looked great. They're still unbeaten. They Oklahoma now 2 Big 12 losses.
in a
Don't
row.
want to say they're out of the championship picture
Yeah,
there, but they're definitely out of it. I mean, they're
yeah.
definitely out of the playoff picture for
Oh
sure.
yeah,
And they need a lot of help to even get a Big 12 title in Brent Venables' first year there. TCU, meanwhile, they'll take that unbeaten record on the road next week
game day.
to play the team that is hosting game day, Rock Chalk Jayhawk, the
Man.
Kansas Jayhawks, unbeaten still after a win over Iowa State.
Oh man,
Can you believe it, Greg?
I mean it's epic. It's I mean it's fun to see a team like that. I mean they had just no history of football other than a couple of seasons there with I forget the coach's name there when they 08, 09. Other than that, I mean it's been some a century of bad football there, and just where they're at, and that coach, he's definitely. But I guess if you can win in what was it, Wisconsin Whitewater, and win some titles there, I mean
Yeah.
you can definitely. But he's definitely the man for the job there, and man, it's gonna. Lawrence is gonna be rocking for the first time in football, maybe ever. As far as I mean, by now you think every other year, oh man, they're getting ready for basketball in Lawrence, and here they are.
Yeah, it's their first time they've been ranked since 2009, their best start since the 2007 season when they played in the Orange Bowl.
Yeah, and
Um,
first game day ever.
yeah, first game day ever. So, yeah, it's going to be, like you said, they're going to be rocking there. Um, yeah, crazy. It's just crazy.
Yeah,
You figure at some point that bubble's going to burst, but it hasn't yet.
hasn't yet.
So,
It's fun. It's fun for him. Yeah.
yeah, so enjoy it while you can.
No,
And
definitely.
maybe they keep going. Who knows? Maybe it's another Big 12 title. But like I said, big, big game next week. 2 unbeatens, TCU and Kansas. The Big 12. The other big game of note in that conference, Oklahoma State went on the road, beat Baylor, got a little revenge for their loss in the Big 12 title game last year. Not a blowout, but a solid, sound win for the
Oh
Cowboys.
yeah,
They're looking
they
good.
are looking good. We know that they have the offense. It's just a matter of their, some questions of defense. But yeah, I mean, they went into Waco against a solid, maybe not the best Baylor Bears team. We've seen some better, but still a solid team. And there really wasn't any question. They from start to finish, they kind of handled business there. Baylor with the ugly uniforms, maybe that was the reason.
Yeah, those Baylor uniforms were
Goodness gracious.
hideous. Hideous. We'll move out west to the Pac 12 real quick. Last week we asked ourselves, is Washington good? And then they went into Los Angeles Friday night, and UCLA just ran all
They
over them.
really did.
Washington made it a little bit closer late, but now UCLA. Now we got to ask that question: Are
Yeah,
they good?
are they good?
They're
Yeah,
5-0.
5-0.
They're looking great.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, messed up a couple of parlays for me there. Really had Washington on the money line. I guess I was buying into the hype a little bit. Yeah, but UCLA did what they had to do, and that game really wasn't as close. But did you watch any of that game, or because it really?
Yeah, I did. I caught the second
Oh,
half
okay.
of it once I realized it was kind of a fun game to put on Friday
Right,
night.
yeah, for sure. Yeah, I mean, it wasn't really even that close. I mean, the final
Mm-mm.
score was close, but UCLA was dominant. Like, yep. wasn't really any question. Like, it's an impressive win for the Bruins, considering, there's a lot of questions. They had that tough, uh, they had the South Alabama tough game. They've had some other games that have been closer than what people thought that they should be, and the lack of crowd support. That crowd was actually kind of solid for Friday. There, I was kind of worried. Glad that they picked that up a little for them there. But yeah, this Bruins team, and they have another big game Saturday at home. I think Utah's coming to town, so that'll really,
Yep.
they win that one, and man, they're rolling.
Yeah, we'll find out how good the Bruins are. They got Utah next week, like you said, and then on the 22nd they go up to Oregon.
Yeah, but
So yeah, we'll see.
so
Nothing really else to note. Pac-12, Oregon won comfortably over Stanford.
yeah,
USC won comfortably.
yeah. The
Kind of
big boys
business as
kind of did what
usual
they did.
elsewhere.
Yeah,
hmm We'll go back across country. ACC real quick. Clemson won their big matchup with NC State at home. Kind of shut them down a little bit. Just not, again, kind of similar. Not a huge blowout, but really didn't seem like it was in doubt for
right.
Clemson.
Yeah, I mean, Clemson is, two big wins in a row there. I mean, they went in and won at Wake, home against NC State. I mean, two of the teams that people thought, oh, Clemson's on upset alert. And, second week in a row, they handled business. But yeah, it wasn't really ever, like you said, a blowout. But I mean, it really wasn't ever a time where we really thought, man, Clemson might lose this game either. So kind of handle business like
Yeah.
they like we had got accustomed to, and they kind of got out of that mode last year, and it seemed to be back into that mode this year. It's kind of that favorite of the ACC again.
Yeah, and the team they beat last week, Wake Forest, went into Tallahassee and won. I believe they're third in a row over Florida State.
Yeah,
Never in my lifetime did I think we'd say that. But Wake is a different program
they are
these
a
days, and
different
they're looking
program.
good. That was a good game. Florida State, look, it wasn't a blowout. Florida State, it wasn't a bad loss. I mean,
It's
you
not a
want to
bad
win at home,
loss.
you want to win those big games at home, but it looks like Florida State is on the up. They just maybe not quite there yet.
Yeah,
But good win for Wake on the road there.
yeah,
Clemson's maybe back to the program they should be.
right.
So yeah, that's about what we got in the ACC there.
Yeah,
We'll finish up our college recap for the day. Big Ten action. Kind of the only big game there. Ohio State blew out Rutgers, nothing there. Michigan went into Iowa and won pretty comfortably there themselves too.
right.
They
Yeah,
were able to run the
Michigan.
ball in that tough Iowa
Right.
defense. And of course, that Iowa offense just
That offense
can't score
is
points.
so terrible. I mean, you feel bad for that
they're bums.
defense. I mean, that defense is top in the country, top defense in the country, and just they're on the field so much. I mean, against a good team like Michigan, they're just gonna wear it down eventually, and it's kind of what happened there yesterday. I mean,
Yeah, it kind of reminds me a lot of watching my Ravens teams in the 2000s with those Ray Lewis and Ed Reed defenses
Yeah.
are just amazing, and then just nothing, no help on
Yeah.
offense. Throwing out Kyle Baller.
That was the guy. I know that was one of your favorites.
Yeah. I'm sure Greg remembers a lot of angry rants of mine during college. It's hard. It's tough when you're such a great defense and your offense gives you nothing to work with.
But the other thing too is just like, what's his name, Spencer Petras. I mean, is there nobody better to even think about putting in the game? I mean, can it hurt? I mean, I don't know. That's just crazy. But
Well, you got to think about it too. Kirk Ferentz obviously is a legend there, and he's done many great things. You got to wonder about his son's role with the offense there as a coach. Or maybe I don't know. Maybe Iowa fans are just happy with what they got.
I don't know. Like I know a few that've been pretty upset with that offense, but
oh yeah, they got it.
Hey, I mean, it's a tough move, but he might have to fire his son.
Hey, Bobby Bowden used to be able to.
Yeah, he did.
Tell his sons what to do.
He did kind of run with Jeff Bowden. I know he fired him maybe a couple of times here in Tallahassee.
Yeah, so we'll see. Anything else from yesterday we'll talk about before we get to our power rankings?
Just another great week. Some unexpected things, of course, with O OU taking that big loss again. But every week seems to be living up to the hype. So I mean, it's been a interesting week, another very interesting week, and yeah, I guess also we'll just kind of see what happens with Georgia going forward. But
Yeah, that's a couple things to watch big
for
there.
sure.
All right, well, why don't you start us off? Who's your number 10 team on your power rankings
Number
this week?
10 team there in college football. I'm moving them up last week. I think I had Kentucky in that spot. Moving up Ole Miss into that top 10 at that 10 spot. Big, impressive home win yesterday morning there against a tough Kentucky team. Big win for the program.
Yep, big win. I have the Nittany Lions of Penn State there at
Mm-hmm.
number 10. They finally cracked my rankings. They're, not doing anything flashy, but they're unbeaten.
All
They're
right.
beating the teams on their schedule.
Exactly.
Number 9, I got Tennessee. Kind of same thing. Like they really, we'll see more from both of those teams when they play, tougher opponents. Tennessee's got Alabama in a couple weeks.
Right.
So that'll be a huge one.
Yeah.
But yeah, who's your number 9?
I had your 10 in my 9. I got Penn State. Similar, nothing impressive. They're just winning games and doing what they have to do to stay undefeated. So
All right, how about your number 8?
number 8, I have the Vols of Tennessee at my 8th spot. Of course, off, but they've impressive team so far this season. And have a interesting matchup with LSU coming up on Saturday, and then of course the third Saturday in October in 2 weeks now. So that if they win, we'll see what happens in the month of October. But definitely a talented team right now.
Mm-hmm. My number 8, I got a different orange team. I got Oklahoma State. We mentioned their big win over at Baylor.
Mm-hmm.
They're kind of flipping a script from what they used to be. They used to be high-powered offense, winning a lot of shootouts, and now they can still score some points, but their defense is really what's winning them games. So I think that's really big, especially in that conference. Number 7 is where I have the Rebels of Ole Miss. Again, we talked about it earlier.
Mm-hmm.
If they can win games with defense and add to that offense, that's big, especially in the conference they're
for
in.
sure.
Yeah, who's your number 7?
That's where I have Okie State there, the Cowboys, undefeated on the season. Got a big road win. Went into Waco, got a solid win there, and looking like a very good team. And honestly, with OU already having lost twice, and just where they're at, I mean, I'd say on paper anyway, the favorite to win the conference right now.
Yeah. All right. How about your number 6?
6, I have the Trojans of USC.
I have the same. Not much to say. They're taking care of business.
Right, taking care of business, and I think we're kind of waiting for that Utah game.
Yeah. Basically, that's it. We're waiting for that big matchup there. Number 5, I got Wolverines of Michigan. We talked about their win in Iowa.
Mm-hmm.
They can run the ball, and they're playing tough defense. That's what Jim Harbaugh wants out of his teams.
Right.
So, again, we'll see when they have some tougher games here in a little bit.
For sure.
Maybe we're just waiting for them to get to Ohio State.
Right.
Really. Maybe that's just what we're waiting for. Who's your number 5?
That's who I have at 5 as well. Michigan. Pretty much said it. Solid win yesterday. Some people are like, oh, upset alert. We know about Iowa's history against top 5 teams recently, but Michigan really went in there, handled business, ran the ball well, and it'll be interesting. I mean, at some point they're going to see Penn State and Ohio State, and that'll be kind of what will base how successful of a season this is for them. But so far, so good for the Wolverines.
Mm-hmm. How about your number 4?
4, I have the Buckeyes of Ohio State. They put a whooping on Rutgers there. They're just playing. They're just winning games, blowing teams out. But I kind of moved them down a little bit just because until they play a little better comp. Just kind of where they're at for me there.
Right, yeah, I have Clemson there at number 4. They're starting to look like the team that kind of dominated the ACC this past decade. Big win over NC State. Yeah,
Yep.
nothing much else to say.
Yeah.
My number 3 teams where I have Alabama. Considered moving them up a little bit, but just the uncertainty with the injury to Bryce Young. That's more serious than we're being led on. Then that's huge. That's a huge blow. As good as Jalen Milroe can be, and as fast as he is, because he might be the fastest guy on that team.
Yeah, he's a blazer.
It's just the unknown. We just don't know. Sure. We'll see. Of course, the good news, I don't know if we mentioned earlier, but when Bryce Young came back out of the medical tent after halftime, he was not wearing, his arm was not in a sling.
Right.
So
that's always a good thing.
That's probably big. And
right.
What Saban said was that, he's had these injuries before, and usually in a few days he's back to normal. So hopefully that's what it is for Tide fans.
For sure.
You're number 3.
3, I have Clemson in my 3 spots. The Tigers, two very good wins in a row there against Wake and then NC State. So they're handling business and back to being the favorite of the conference again.
All right. How about your number 2?
2, I've made a little move there. It doesn't really matter right now because, they're going to see each other in December, probably undefeated. But move Georgia down to number 2. Last week I was like, well, it's just one game against a nobody. And, they may be a little bored. Kind of moved them down just because, winning Columbia, not the toughest place to go into. I didn't expect what I saw last night. And luckily they were playing Mizzou or they would have taken an L last night.
Yeah, for sure. Let's see. I got Ohio State as my number 2, kind of same reason as all year. They're taking care of their business. Their offense seems to be humming. And they're just an incredibly talented team. But, yeah, we're waiting for them to play some bigger games. Yeah. And then I kept Georgia in the number 1 spot, kind of just a king stay the king mentality.
Right.
Ugly win. They definitely, as we talked about earlier, they got some easier games this month that, I'd like to see them kind of take care of business a little bit better than they have. Of course, which means that your number 1 is Alabama. Any thoughts?
Well, yeah, I just moved them up. They went on the road there. Despite losing Bryce there and a little panic during the third quarter, they really, came through when they had to. Got the big win against Arkansas. So, I thought that was, enough to move them up to the 1 for the week there. Yeah, but, it's just a matter of how serious is the injury. Doesn't sound that serious, but at the same time, we know that Nick likes to play things down as best as possible. So who knows sometimes with that. Honestly, I would actually, if I wouldn't mind him actually sitting out against A&M. I think Milroe might be good enough to do what we need to do on Saturday. So we'll see how. I'm sure they'll go Bryce if he's healthy enough, but just for the safety protocol, just to be more cautious, wouldn't be too bad. I don't think.
No, I tend to agree with you, especially if they can, if Milroe gives them that option, that kind of read option look, and gives them that ability to run the ball like they did in the fourth quarter in particular, but really all day long.
Right.
That's huge for that offense.
Yeah, for sure.
And maybe gives that line a little confidence before, Bryce Young comes back.
Yeah.
And if they can add that deadly of a rushing game to what Bryce Young can do, then that's huge.
Yeah, for sure.
Before we move to the NFL, just some breaking news. I got here a little alert. Colorado fired
their coach. Yeah.
Yep, Carl Dorrell, which was a questionable hire in the first place.
Right. You had to figure it was coming at some point this year, just a matter of what week was it going to come in.
Yeah, rough season for fans in the state of Colorado, college football.
Yeah.
Buffs are bad. Colorado State Rams are bad. Air Force just got put on probation.
Yeah, it's a tough time when the service academies are going on probation. Like what?
Yeah, that was hilarious. We got that alert the other
Yeah, I
day.
saw
My
that. I
mother
was
was
like,
in
oh
town.
wow.
She's an Army person.
Hmm.
She served and she laughed. She
Yeah,
thought that was pretty funny that Air Force got put on probation. She was like, I
exactly.
didn't even know that the service academies could get probation.
And what was it? I mean, I saw the I
It's
didn't
recruiting violations of some sort. I didn't see the
some
penalties
yeah,
or anything. It's the 2-year probation. I know that. I don't think
crazy.
it's nothing major, but
Right.
it's just kind of weird.
Yeah, you thinking that just in some of the where we at with NIL and all that, like a lot of this stuff, how is it still in place? But anyway,
Yeah, it's yeah. Yeah, it's just a shit show really with
yeah,
all of that and all
exactly.
that. But that'll end our college thoughts for the week. We'll move to the NFL. I guess the big story so far this week, and was Thursday night
Yeah,
and Tua Tagvailoa's injury. He got hurt last week. We talked about it a little bit where he went out and then came back in, and neither of us were watching the game, so we really didn't know what kind of injury it was. After seeing the video and seeing him stumble and fall down, his
man,
lineman picking him up,
yeah,
and it just wasn't pretty. And then reading some experts, old what's his name, Christopher Nowitzki, old WWE wrestler,
uh-huh.
a Harvard graduate that left professional wrestling to start a concussion institute, head injury.
Right,
Saw a tweet of his before the Thursday night game saying, it's a complete failure and a setback for the concussion protocols if Tua even plays tonight. He
yeah,
did, and then got just a horrible looking injury, just slung down on his head and had that scary moment where his fingers froze up. Got taken to the local hospital, but did get released that night, flew home with the team. But since then, the NFL or the independent doctor that's supposed to look over those protocols has been fired. The NFLPA has launched an investigation. It seems like someone's probably going to get sued somewhere. If not, that doctor, then the NFL, then maybe even the Miami Dolphins themselves.
right.
Mike McDonald was very defensive of the Dolphins and his actions regarding Tua, but just a scary situation all around. And we hope that Tua, we understand that player mentality. He's going to want to come and play.
Yeah,
They're
yeah, especially in the situation he was in. I mean, this is a man that we've heard so many rumors that they were wanting to bring in Deshaun Watson, get rid of Tua, and the whole story is about secret meetings with Tom Brady coming in. So I mean, he knows he's on a short string there, and he's already known that he has injuries, and he's I'm sure worried about any chance that they could to move on from me. They're gonna try to use that. So I understand where he's coming from, wanting to play it at all costs there, but that's more of an organization thing. I mean, they have the final say on that type of thing, and they got to pull him out, man. They can't put him back in last Sunday, and then he did not look like him. I mean, he looked out of it on Thursday, like a couple of his throws, like when he underthrew Tyreek Hill and he got intercepted. I mean, he did like I don't know, he just didn't look good at all. Like it seemed like it was still affecting him, no matter what they say. Like I don't know, but yeah,
just
and then what
really a
we
bad
saw, it
look all around.
really is. But I was talking about with folks at work, and what we were saying is, the bad thing is though, if it hadn't been so, a high profile quarterback, this issue wouldn't even have come up.
Mm, for
If
sure.
I'm sure there's people all the time that have concussion on, a lineman or something that's concussion on Sunday, and then Thursday, Sunday they're back playing again, and no one even thinks about it because he's an offensive lineman. No one's even paying attention to that guy. But we'll see what.
Yeah, the scary thing about it. My thoughts on it, my conversation to have with people is the NFL is $1 billion business, and they have the means to not just fund research, but to really do things about it.
Yeah.
Better equipment, not just make dumb little rule changes.
Right.
Really make protocols and really kind of force these players to, be like, look, we know you guys want to play, we get that, but like we just have to take safety precautions.
Right.
It really should be if you go out with a head injury, unless it's literally just like you got slapped on the head.
Right.
And then you're like, no, I'm good. Like you literally can pass. You probably just shouldn't come back into the game.
Exactly.
Regardless. And what I was saying to people is it doesn't need to get to the situation where it's like NASCAR did with Dale Earnhardt.
Right.
NASCAR was an unsafe sport, and they had to have one of their legendary figures die in a wreck in their biggest race
Before any
before they
changes.
really
Yeah.
took the precautions to ensure driver safety. And it's not like that stuff, the safe walls and their neck braces and all that, weren't invented until after Dale Earnhardt died. They
Exactly.
existed because they were able to implement that stuff right away, just about. So we know that there is technology to help these players' heads with the concussions. We've
Exactly.
seen some of these new space-looking helmets out there, but there's got to be some more stuff to do.
There's definitely has to be.
And yeah, the NFL doesn't. There's all kinds of things you can do that they probably won't. Like they really just should not play Thursday night games.
Yeah, I mean
But
that's
they never will.
I mean it's it's all about the money, and
Mm-hmm.
that's the other thing too is we're always we even in this situation, I'm even skeptical about what's going to change. Sadly, because who is there to actually keep it's its own business. I mean, no one really can tell the NFL what they can and can't do other than fan support, and we know unfortunately that's not going to really change. So public outcry only does so much, and I mean, so I don't. Yeah, but as you said, they have the money. They know what needs to happen. There's, I mean, so much that can still be done on top of what's being done. So it's just a tough situation for the players, more or less. Just
Yeah, and that kind of goes to show you how much these owners like actually care about these players because. But like you said, it's also on the fans. Like it's one thing to outcry and make your Twitter post and maybe even march or sign letters, etc. But it's a whole nother thing to, they have to basically stop watching Thursday games or games altogether,
yeah,
which just won't happen.
that'll never
There's just
happen. I mean,
no.
unfortunately, that's just how fans are. I mean, we're a society that loves football of all types, and that'll never change. But with that being said, and I can't say that I'd ever stop watching because that'd be hypocritical of me. But until unless people really stand up for it and really say I'm not going to watch until we get better protocols, and it's a large amount of people that can make a change. And I don't know how much change is actually going to happen there.
Yeah, barring that or player strike of some
Yeah,
sort. But hopefully
exactly.
they can find some happy medium, where like
Yeah.
maybe they only do Thursday night games
Just
in the
get back
middle of
to
the
where
season when teams have buys and you
exactly.
have to have a bye the week before
Or just get
to
back to where
play.
we just have the Thanksgiving games, and
Mm-hmm.
we had what most of our lives before Thursday night was an every week thing, and I mean the NFL was fine. No one was upset by that, and I don't know.
Yeah, you got to figure. They definitely make extra money from Thursday night games, just by the TV bids alone.
Yeah,
Amazon
but
gave them an
oh
ungodly amount of
man, I
money.
can only imagine.
Yeah, but like you said, yeah, the NFL was doing just fine before Thursday games, and college has Thursday and Wednesday and Tuesday games too.
Right,
But yeah, like I said, maybe they can just find some way. You can't play a Thursday game if you played 4 days earlier on
right.
Sunday
Yeah,
because football's just too physical a
exactly,
sport to really be playing two
exactly.
games within that time
Or
span.
or like you said, get to more of the end or middle of the season where where people are having a bye weeks, and you have Thursday night game, someone coming off a bye week, where they're playing. We got to put the matchups based on who has a bye. If you want to cap Thursday night, they'll do it in the middle of the season where people are coming off a bye week or something, so they're not only having two and a half days really to get ready for the game there.
All right, let's get to our power rankings in this week. Just another reminder for the listeners: we record this in the afternoon on Sunday, kind of in the late window, the first set of games. So these are based on last week's results and with the Thursday night game taken into account. That said, my number 8 team, the Jaguars, got to give them props where props are due. They're looking good. Trevor Lawrence looks like he's the happiest person on earth to be rid of Urban Meyer. He just looks like a completely different, looks like the Clemson Trevor Lawrence
Yeah,
again. So yeah, just giving them props where they're due. Haven't checked the score in their game with the Eagles lately. I know they were winning early.
yeah, they were
But
winning early,
who's your
but
number 8?
let's see. I have the Bucks at 8. Not the prettiest of things. They took the loss last week, but I mean they've had a lot of injuries there. And to only lose by 2 at Green Bay came down to that 2-point conversion. Still a good team when they all get healthy. I mean, definitely still a contender there.
All right. How about your number 7?
7, I have the Packers at 7 there. You know, since that blowout week 1 against the Vikings, really have come back and handle business there. They, despite losing Devontae, still I would say definitely a contender for the North and also a playoff team there for now.
My number 7's the defending champs, the Rams. My comment on them is that their offense still needs to get going. It's kind of not to the level that they're used to,
Right.
and that they got to fix their run game. They got to involve Allen Robinson more. It's a great receiver.
Right.
It's a guy that can be your second or even third receiver. Maybe once Van Jefferson, if he gets healthy, that's a weapon to have that they need to utilize more. He needs to get a bigger target share,
For sure.
I believe. Number 6, I got the Bucks. They just got to get healthy too. They're another team. They need to get their receivers healthy. They're playing with some real no names down there. They got Mike Evans and Julio Jones and Chris Godwin on the roster, and none of them are playing right now. And if they can get all 3 of them healthy, that just gives Tom Brady a lot of weapons.
For sure.
All right. How about you? Number 6.
Number 6, I have the Minnesota Vikings. They're a team that's got the close win against the Lions last week. Had to come back a little bit. Won again early this morning. Back and forth, ugly game there against the Saints team that's quite a few injuries there. Probably shouldn't have been as close as it was, but they're still winning games. So that's my 6.
All right. How about your number 5?
5, I have the Chiefs there. Took a little moved them down a little bit. Had a loss against the Colts last week, and not really. I don't think worries them just because the Colts, they're grown men. They didn't want to start off 0-4 on the season there, so. Or 0-3 on the season there, so I mean I understand that little blow up there on the sideline between the OC and they got to get that figured out. But I think that's my 5 there.
Yeah, number 5, I got the Ravens. They bounced back, beat the Patriots last week. Were able to seal the game off. Defensively, they're in a battle with the Bills right now. Tied at 20 in the fourth quarter in some really ugly, rainy conditions in Baltimore. Under my notes for the Ravens, I'm just said they're probably going to regret not paying Lamar before this season because his price tag is just going up. He's having just unbelievable. His numbers right now are actually better than they were in his MVP season.
Yeah,
and that's a scary thought. Number 4, I had the Dolphins, and the only notes I had on them were shame on them. How about your number 4?
Number 4 is where I had the Ravens. They're just got the close win last week against and then big matchup. They bounced back up to the Dolphins game, won last week in a close one with the Buffalo today. Like I said, they're playing good ball. Lamar, his price tag definitely going up every week there, and I say good for him there. Bet on yourself, and hopefully he continues to pay off for him. But that's my 4.
All right. How about your number 3?
Number 3, of course, I mean, I wrote all this on actually Thursday before the games there, so this is kind of before that. But I have Buffalo at 3. Moved them down a little bit because, they did lose there to Miami there. It was a 19-17 game, very, very close there. I thought the most interesting thing before all this Tua thing was the butt punt last week. I thought that was pretty funny there by the Miami. And I thought we'd be able to talk more about that, but that's where I have the Bills there. But still a good team. A lot of injuries there in Buffalo on the defensive side and on that offensive line. So want to see them get healthy there in a tough game with Baltimore right now, 2020. So we'll see how that plays out. But moved them down a little bit, but still a good team there in Buffalo.
All right, my number three, I had the Chiefs, bumped them down a little bit. I think, like you said, Indy was desperate not to start this season. I think it would have been 0-2-1.
Oh,
They
they
were
did
tied
have
that
that
first
tie. That's
week.
right.
Yeah. The one concern I have with the Chiefs right now is that I don't see a lack of a big playmaker at wide
Yeah, they
receiver.
don't have that at
And
all.
and we thought I understood the decision not to to trade Tyreek Hill to open up some funds to build the line a little bit better.
Right,
But there's no one that's really stepped up to be that big
right.
receiver at playmaker, and that could hurt them later on in the season. Maybe you wonder.
Possibly.
Um,
Yeah.
so yeah, we'll see how that is. Number two is where I had the Bills. Like we said, they're in a tight one with the Ravens right now. They were actually down big early, kind of down 20-3, I believe, and they've battled back, change it at 20. They made some good halftime adjustments. They've
Right.
couldn't stop the Ravens offense in the first half, and they've kind of shut them down. Although Ravens are kind of driving right now, but
Hmm.
it makes me wonder if it's kind of like almost the NBA now, where the top teams are going to make runs. Like they're going to get down, doesn't matter.
Right.
They're going to make a
Yeah,
run.
it seems like it. I mean, we've seen that a couple of
Mm-hmm.
times in the first couple of weeks of the season, anyway.
Yeah.
Where
How
the
about your number two? Yeah, number
number
two for you.
two, and man, I had Philly at two. They had the still undefeated there. And just playing good ball. Jalen Hurts, another guy that's he's kind of in that Lamar category there. People underestimate him just because he's not a prototypical pocket passer, and he's definitely exceeding the expectations there. And Philly, people are like, why did they drop Jalen in the second round? But now you look at it, you're like, they got a steal in the second round for Jalen.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And how about your number one?
Yeah, like I said, I wrote this on Thursday before the game there. At that point, man, Miami was rolling. I mean, they look, it was shame on them for what's happened, but I mean, they were rolling there. Got the undefeated coming off a big win against Buffalo. And I was really liking what the Dolphins were doing there. Now it'll be interesting to see what they do the rest of this way here. But that was originally my number one, and I'm sure that'll change quickly here with just kind of where they're. We'll see what happens with them going forward.
Mm-hmm. And my number one is where I had the Eagles, just giving them props for a great start. Like you said, Jalen looks like now a steal, just an absolute steal, and he's playing great ball. Happy to see that for him. For a guy that's almost never at any point in his career, college or pro, really gotten the props for
Yeah, I mean
being as good as he
I
is. And
mean
not to say his game doesn't have things that he's needed to fix, but he's fixed. I mean, his accuracy has just gone a lot
a
up this
lot of,
year.
and it's they did really. I mean, they put what they built around him. Brought in a number one guy there in AJ Brown to go along with another
Mm-hmm.
number one in Devontae. So I mean, they realized what they had, and put the right. I think they so far put the right people in place around him, and that's it's good to see that some teams are willing to go with what they have, because so many teams, as soon as something goes a little bit awry, they want to move on. And that's the one thing that really annoys me about the NFL recently is just in the last couple of years. A guy has a couple bad games, and or a rookie or second season, they maybe not living up to what they expected, and they're just so ready to move on to draft some guy that they see in college. But everybody who's getting drafted in the first round looks great in college, so people, just have the patience and let things play out sometimes.
Yeah. No, yeah, that's a hell of a wide receiver 1-2 punch,
Yeah, it really
and
is.
AJ Brown and Devontae Smith.
And they,
And you figured Devontae's your speedster, AJ's your tough guy, but Devontae goes up and gets catches
he
that a
does.
guy with his body type really shouldn't. Sometimes he's just
Right. I
that good.
mean, you have to be a tough guy to make it this far with that body type to make it
Mm-hmm.
to the league. I mean, just that in itself shows you how tough of a guy he is there. Because I'm sure he's been told his whole life, "Oh, you're too little for this, and you're too little for that," and hadn't stopped him yet. So,
No, yeah, definitely a hell of a player. We all know from his Heisman Trophy
oh
winning
man,
season in Alabama. Uh-oh. Big 4th and goal for the Ravens.
Yeah.
Oh, intercepted in the end zone. Buffalo defense stepping up in the second half. Ooh, Lamar is not happy about it. I'm gonna say about 4 minutes left in that one. A little over 4 minutes, tied at 20.
Oh, look at that. The Falcons are gonna beat the Browns.
Oh, Atlanta. They're a feisty team
They
this
are
year.
feisty.
Oh,
Play hard.
Lamar had Duvernay open early and missed him.
Yeah,
Oh
my
man,
red
that's
zone's a
big.
little bit behind, so I'm just catching up to that one. So
Oh no, we actually got here in Birmingham. We actually have this on
oh, I'm sure I do too. But yeah,
the
I
game of
usually
the week.
watch
Yeah,
red zone unless it's the Cowboys, of course. Here in Omaha,
yeah,
they're not going
yeah.
to put us on for the Commanders game. We handling business today, so that's good to see. But yeah. Oh yeah, that's an
Oh,
ugly interception there by Lamar. Yikes!
yeah, that was tough. Then line didn't really give him any time to set there
No,
either.
not
But
at
yeah,
all.
it's tough. A big 14 play drive to get down there, and
Yeah.
they went for it instead of kicking the field
Oh,
goal. And
he's
so we'll
wide
see how
open in the
that plays out.
corner. Wow.
Yeah, yeah, you're just seeing that
Jeez.
replay now. Yeah,
Oh, Duvernay wide open.
yeah. But like I said, yeah, Buffalo brought a good blitz there. So
Yeah.
Lamar, I guess, didn't have time to see him early, but he's gonna watch that on film and be really
Kick
upset about it.
himself. Yeah.
Yeah, all right. Moving from the NFL, the only other thing in sports I had was we talked a little bit last week about Major League Baseball's final week. The Braves won Friday night and
And
Saturday
Saturday
night
night.
over the Mets
Yeah.
to jump them, take a 1-game lead in the division. They beat DeGrom and Scherzer to do it too.
That's
So they have the
impressive.
big Sunday
Yeah,
night
big
game
son.
tonight. If they can
Stay out that play-in.
yeah. Stay out that first round is huge. That's kind of what the big incentive now. Obviously,
Yeah.
both these teams are already in the playoffs, but the big incentive to win your division is to not have to play in that wild card round
Yeah, for sure.
and have to throw your best 3 starters in that because it's just a best of 3 series. Anything can happen in that.
Exactly. Do you
If the Braves win tonight, it means they only need to win 1 of 3 games against the Marlins in their last series to clinch a division. If
nice.
the Mets pull out the win tonight, they'll own the season tiebreaker. So they would just need to be even. So we'll see with that. You got a prediction for that? Who's going to take the division?
I mean, based on the weekend, I think the Braves. I mean, they beat the power of the Mets pitching there. Impressive weekend series there. You just like to finish out strong. But yeah, I mean, I would be shocked if they were to lose a division at this point, just with that kind of momentum winning the first 2 of that weekend series.
Yeah, we shall see. Obviously, I'm a big Braves fan, so I kind of agree. We've got Charlie Morton on the mound tonight, so if he can get that kind of playoff Charlie Morton, that's going to be big
Yeah,
for
for
them
sure.
tonight. The only other note I had with that was ESPN continues to torment college football fans,
with
cutting into Aaron
oh
Judge's
man,
things. There was one
so
from Thursday
hilarious.
night, the Houston Tulane game, which
Yeah,
was a great
it
game,
was
double
a good
overtime
game.
game. Late in the fourth
They
quarter,
cut away.
they cut into an Aaron Judge at bat and switched the audio over too. That's the thing. They
That's the
switched the
thing.
audio
Yeah,
over to the
even
baseball game,
yesterday. Yeah,
and the
switching the
Orioles were
audio.
having a conference on the mound, and they kept the audio on the baseball game for like a minute of just a mound visit.
Yeah,
It's just who is pulling that trigger there.
because
You got to wonder.
obviously, I'm a Yankees fan, but yeah, obviously, if you wanted to watch that, you're gonna flip over to MLB where it's at, or if you're in a area where the game was on, you're gonna turn to it. Like when he's up. I mean, I get notifications every time he comes up there. If I wanted to watch that specifically, I turn to MLB TV. They moving that. Every time he comes up, I think they have a live thing for him too. So yeah, ESPN doing that is pretty funny because most of the college football fans are in the Southeast and they love the Braves, or B, they don't give anything about baseball. So
Yeah, and that's and you mentioned it last week too. Like it's great what Judge is doing. He's gonna if he can get one more, he sets the AL home run
right,
season record.
but it's still
But
not the all-time record. I mean, no
it's
matter
not. It's
no
just
matter
not.
what we think about it, and always gonna be someone says, like we said, oh, he didn't cheat, but numbers are numbers. The 70 some was said by Bonds is what it is. I mean, very impressive what he's doing there. Still, uh, you know, could very well has a couple more games to get to 62, the all-time AL, and it's impressive because only so many people have ever gotten that far in a season there, and supposedly the hoping he is clean there. I mean, I would think so, but that'd be crazy in itself if not. But yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, it's questionable decision making at best. Have a picture in picture, but keep your audio
Yeah,
in
at least
football
keep the
games.
audio with the
Like
football. That's the weirdest part. Like they switch everything. Like it's weird.
that is a ticky tack roughing the passer call on the Ravens there. That's big. That's I don't know about that. You might see that one. I don't know if they'll show that on Red Zone or not, but that's a big. It's second and 15 or first and 15. Ravens.
Did they call that on the first and 15? I seen wow. Is that? Yeah, I just saw the first and 15 play. Is that really the roughing the passer right there?
Yeah, that's a hit. He hit him right
blitz?
after he released the ball. Didn't hit him in the head.
I don't know. I don't know.
Yeah,
I mean, it's a second or two late, but I don't.
That's tough. Yeah, I don't think you can throw the flag on that. If he hit him in the head, I would have understood. But he got him right in the chest.
Part of the game, 2 minutes. Yeah.
Oh well, not a good first down play after that though. So 2-minute warning, and we'll see. It should be a fun finish. Anything else in the world of sports you want to touch on?
Man, just and both seasons, a lot of NFL and college, just a lot of unpredictable things going on. I mean, every week is something there. A lot of good close games there. Definitely been a tough weekend with parlays. I play a few every week, and it's been a up and down season so far.
There you go. All right. So what's done up real good for you this week?
Up real good. I probably say just when my sons come along in school, going into the school year, just in the month that it's been. I mean, he's really come along in a lot of areas there. So I'm happy with them right now. So.
Well, that's awesome. That's good.
Sir, what about you?
Let's see. Done up real good for me this week. I'll say my mom's lasagna and my mother-in-law's chili.
Oh, fantastic.
She came in town, made a good batch of chili this week. So
that's always good.
Yeah, especially nights of getting a little chilly.
Oh, yeah.
No pun intended at night. So it's good to have that.
Anytime you have a mother-in-law that can cook, that's always a plus.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah. Come home to, just a big batch of stuff on the stove. That's always fun.
Oh, definitely.
But all right, buddy. That is it for this week, us. Y'all, we will see you again next week. Yes, Greg, man, take it easy. Have a good one, buddy.
Yes, sir.
Thank you once again for listening to Taking on Sports. We do ask that you please rate us and subscribe to us and tell anybody who you think would be interested to do the same. Also, be sure to check out all of the great content on thealabamatake.com, including our various podcasts on all kinds of subjects. We got literature and Star Wars and wrestling and pop culture with TV and movies and music. Everything you could want is on thealabamatake.com and our family of podcasts. Thank you once again for listening. Be sure to join us next week.